Hey, Andrew with Evermore Studio. There have been some interesting experiments lately in using various joinery techniques with materials like felt and leather. I used one for my no-sew felt tray a while back. One related idea that caught my attention is tiling small pieces to make use of what would otherwise be scrap. I made a few journal covers out of faux leather and have a pretty good collection of scraps from that. After playing with a few test tiles, I set out to make a small drawstring bag to explore this a little more. The tile is pretty simple. The central square is 2 centimeters. The tabs stick out a hair less than 1 centimeter, so that 2 of them don't quite meet on the back. The slits for the tabs are adjusted to the thickness of the material to provide a little friction for keeping the tiles together. They will pull apart with enough force, but the resulting matrix isn't particularly fragile. To add some visual interest, I scored a very basic Celtic key motif on each panel. I made solid strips with matching slots and tabs to finish the top and bottom of the panel. For the bag, I joined the short edges to make a cylinder. I cut a round piece for the bottom and engraved it with a circular Celtic key pattern. The bottom has to be pinned and sewn carefully to minimize puckering. After sewing, clipping the seam allowance helps to make the curve fluid and lay flat. With some black velvet I had on hand, I made an identical bag for the lining. The original strip I made for testing was clearly too narrow, and I replaced it with a wider one. It was easier to sew the lining to the strip, right sides together, then connect the tabs and slots to attach it to the body of the bag. I ran a seam around the top to create the channel for the drawstring. I was careful to catch the tabs attaching the top to the body just to reduce the chances of it pulling free. Since I had a key pattern theme going, I modeled a couple of old-style keys as toggle ornaments in Nomad Sculpt and printed them in a nylon resin. After a spray finish and some weathering with acrylic paint, they look pretty convincing. I ran a leather cord through for the drawstring. Wrapping the ends in wire gave an interesting finish and provided a way to attach jump rings to hold the keys. The body of the bag holds together well under normal handling, but as I was finishing, I came up with a way to make the connections even more solid. Applying some fusible interfacing to the reverse makes the tiles even less separable. It does change the way the sheet moves in a way I don't think I would like for the bag, but I am likely to use it for another project. Here is the finished bag. If you want to play with this yourself, the SVG for the leather locker tile is with the write-up on my website. Link in the description. I would love to see what you do with it. Thank you for watching.